Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Um, so I just got through watching Elijah's streams on YouTube, and it was called Intelligence Briefing with Robin and Steve, Episode 3, and is still today. It's still March the 29th, 2021. And I think you really need to go back and watch that episode, as well as the first episode that they have. Well, all the episodes are good, but the first Intelligence Briefing, and also both of those are about Genesis, and talking about like creation and the fall from of Adam and Eve. So they're really awesome episodes. Gives you a lot of insight into things that I didn't know. And also, whenever you get a chance, watch Robin D. Bullock on the 11th hour. It comes on at noon Eastern Standard Time on Tuesdays. And he also has a service on Sundays on his website, Church International. And they are located in Warrior, Alabama. So now let's get back into our reading. So we're starting in chapter 9. So Genesis chapter 9, verse 1. God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, "Be fruitful, multiply, and fill the earth. The fear and dread of you will be upon every wild animal, every bird in the air, every creature populating the ground, and all the fish in the sea. They have been handed over to you. Every moving thing that lives will be food for you. Just as I give you green plants before, so now I give you everything. Only flesh with its life, which is its blood, you are not to eat. I will certainly demand an accounting for the blood of your lives. I will demand it from every animal and from every human being. I will demand from every human being an accounting for the life of his fellow human being. Whoever sheds human blood, by a human being will his own blood be shed. For God made human beings in his image. And you people, be fruitful, multiply, swarm on the earth and multiply on it." God spoke to Noah and his sons with him. He said, "As for me, I am herewith establishing my covenant with you, with your descendants after you, and with every living creature that is with you, the birds, the livestock, and every wild animal with you, all going out of the ark, every animal on earth. I will establish my covenant with you that never again will all living beings be destroyed by the waters of a flood, and there will never again be a flood to destroy the earth." God added, "Here is a sign of the covenant I am making between myself and you and every living creature with you for all generations to come. I am putting my rainbow in the cloud. It will be there as a sign of the covenant between myself and the earth. Whenever I bring clouds of the earth, and the rainbow is seen in the cloud, I will remember my covenant which is between myself and you and every living creature of any kind, and the water will never again become a flood to destroy all living beings. The rainbow will be in the cloud, so that when I look at it, I will remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of any kind on the earth." God said to Noah, "This is the sign of the covenant which I have established between myself and every living creature on the earth." The sons of Noah who went out from the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham is the father of Canaan, or we know say Canaan. These three were the sons of Noah, and the whole earth was populated by them. Noah, a farmer, was the first to plant a vineyard. He drank so much of the wine that he got drunk and lay uncovered in his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father shamefully exposed and went out and told his two brothers. Shem and Japheth took a cloak, put it over both their shoulders, and, walking backward, went in and covered their naked father. Their faces were turned away, so that they did not see their father lying there shamefully exposed. When Noah awoke from his wine, he knew what his youngest son had done to him. He said, "Cursed be Canaan, he will be a servant of servants to his brothers." Then he said, "Blessed be Adonai, the God of Shem, Canaan, or Canaan, will be their servant. May God enlarge Japheth, He will live in the tents of Shem, but Canaan will be their servant. After the flood, Noah lived 350 years. And this is, from what I understand about the cursing of Canaan, was that he was cursed because Noah couldn't curse Ham due to God had blessed Ham. So, we know God had blessed all three sons, so cursing Ham would be going against God. Ham was the youngest, and so I wonder if Canaan was the youngest of Ham. So, after the flood, Noah lived 350 years. In all, Noah lived 950 years, then he died. Chapter 10. Here is the genealogy of the sons of Noah: Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Sons were born to them after the flood. The sons of Japheth were Gomer, Magog, Madai, Yavon, Tuval, Meshech, and Tyrus. The sons of Gomer were Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. The sons of Yavon were Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim. From these the islands of the nations were divided into their lands, each according to its language, according to their families and their nations. The sons of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. The sons of Cush were Savah, Havilah, Savta, Ramah, and Sabkab. The sons of Ramah were Shavah and Dedan. Cush fathered Nimrod, who was the first powerful ruler on earth. He was a mighty hunter before Adonai. This is why people say, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before Adonai. His kingdom began with Babel, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. Asher went out from that land and built Nineveh, the city Rehoboth, Kelach, and Rezin between Nineveh and Kelach. That one is a great city, and Nineveh is the same as Nineveh. Excuse me. Mitzrayim fathered the Ludim, the Anamim, the Havim, the Naphtahim, the Petrusim, the Kozlahim, from whom came the Plishtim, and the Kephtorim. And just a little side note here, another word for Egypt is Mitzrayim. So, from this genealogy, you see that Egypt comes from the Mitzrayim people. Canaan fathered Zidon, his firstborn, Het, the Yebusi, the Amorah, the Girgashi, the Hava, the Arka, the Sana, the Arvada, the Zimari, and the Hamathah. Afterwards, the families of the Canaani were dispersed. The border of the Canaani was from Sidon, as you go toward Gerar, to Azal, as you go toward Sodom or Sodom, Amorah, Gomorrah, Admat, and Zeboim to Lesha. These were the descendants of Ham, according to their families and languages, in their lands and in their nations. Children were also born to Shem, ancestor of all the descendants of Eber, and older brother of Japheth. The sons of Shem were Elam, Asher, Arpachshad, Lud, and Aram. The sons of Aram were Etz, Hul, Geter, and Mash. Arpachshad fathered Shelach, and Shelach fathered Ever. To Ever were born two sons. One was given the name Peleg, or division, because during his lifetime the earth was divided. His brother's name was Joktan. Joktan fathered Almodad, Sheleph, Hasarmavet, Yerek, Hadoram, Uzziel, Dikla, Oval, Avamael, Shiva, Ophir, Havilah, and Yovav. All these were the sons of Joktan. Their territory stretched from Mesha, as you go toward Sephar, to the mountain in the east. These were the descendants of Shem, according to their families and languages, in their lands and in their nations. These were the families of the sons of Noah, according to their generations, in their nations. From these the nations of the earth were divided up after the flood. Chapter 11. The whole earth used the same language, the same words. It came about that as they traveled from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and lived there. They said to one another, "Come, let's make bricks and bake them in the fire." So they had bricks for building stone and clay for mortar. Then they said, "Come, let's build ourselves a city with a tower that has its top reaching up into heaven. so that we can make a name for ourselves and not be scattered all over the earth. Adonai came down to see the city and the tower the people were building. Adonai said, "Look, the people are united. They all have a single language. And see what they're starting to do. At this rate, nothing they set out to accomplish will be impossible for them. Come, let's go down and confuse our language so that they won't understand each other's speech." So from there, Adonai scattered them all over the earth, and they stopped building the city. For this reason, it is called Babel, or confusion, and we say Babel, because there Adonai confused the language of the whole earth. And from there, Adonai scattered them all over the earth. Here is the genealogy of Shem. Shem was 100 years old when he fathered Arpachshad, 2 years after the flood. After Arpachshad was born, Shem lived another 500 years and had sons and daughters. Arpachshad lived 35 years and fathered Shelah. After Shelah was born, Arpachshad lived another 403 years and had sons and daughters. Shelah lived 30 years and fathered Eber. After Eber was born, Shelah lived another 403 years and had sons and daughters. Eber lived 34 years and fathered Peleg. After Peleg was born, Eber lived another 430 years and had sons and daughters. Peleg lived 30 years and fathered Reu. After Reu was born, Peleg lived another 209 years and had sons and daughters. Reu lived 32 years and fathered Serug. After Serug was born, Reu lived another 207 years and had sons and daughters. Serug lived 30 years and fathered Nahor. After Nahor was born, Serug lived another 200 years and had sons and daughters. Nahor lived 29 years and fathered Terah. After Terah was born, Nahor lived another 119 years and had sons and daughters. Terah lived 70 years and fathered Avram, Nahor, and Haran. Here is the genealogy of Terah. Terah fathered Avram, Nahor, and Haran Haran fathered Lot. Haran died before his father Terah in the land where he was born, in Ur the Chaldean. Yet Avram and Nahor took wives for themselves. The name of Avram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah, the daughter of Haran. He was the father of Milcah and of Yiscah. Sarai was barren. She had no child. Terah took his son Avram, his son Haran's son Lot, and Sarai, his daughter-in-law, his son Avram's wife, and they left Ur of the Chaldean to go to the land of Canaan. But when they came to Haran, they stayed there. Terah lived 205 years, and he died in Haran. Now Adonai said to Avram, "Get yourself out of your country, away from your kinsmen, and away from your father's house." That's chapter 12, verse 1, "And go to the land that I will show you. I will make of you a great nation. I will bless you, and I will make your name great, and you are to be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, but I will curse anyone who curses you, and by you all the families of the earth will be blessed." So Avram went, as Adonai had said to him, and Lot went with him. Avram was 75 years old when he left Haran. Avram took his wife Sarai, his brother's son Lot, and all their possessions which they had accumulated, as well as the people they had acquired in Haran. Then they set out for the land of Canaan and entered the land of Canaan. Avram passed through the land to the place called Shechem, to the oak of Moreh. The Canaanites were then in the land. Adonai appeared to Avram and said, "To your descendants," and the Hebrew word is Lazir-Akah, which means to your seed, "I will give this land." So he built an altar there to Adonai, who had appeared to him. He left that place, went to the hill east of Bet-El, and pitched his tent. With Bet-El to the west and Ai to the east, he built an altar there and called on the name of Adonai. And I just want to make a note there. Bet, it means the letter B, and that means house. And, El means God, so Bet-El will be house of God. Then Avram traveled on, continuing toward the Negev. But there was a famine in the land, so Avram went down into Egypt to stay there because the famine in the land was severe. And another side note, in my King James Version, instead of Negev, it says the south. When he came close to Egypt and was about to enter, he said to Sarai his wife, "Here now, I know that you are a good-looking woman, so that when the Egyptians see you, they will say, 'This is his wife,' and kill me but keep you alive. Please say that you are my sister, so that it will go well with me for your sake, and so that I will stay alive because of you." When Avram entered Egypt, the Egyptians did notice that the woman was very beautiful. Pharaoh's princes saw her and commended her to Pharaoh. So the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. He treated Avram well for her sake, giving him sheep, cattle, male and female donkeys, male and female slaves, and camels. But Adonai inflicted great plagues on Pharaoh and his household because of Sarai, Avram's wife. Pharaoh called Avram and said, "What is this that you have done to me? Why didn't you tell me that she was your wife? Why did you say she is my sister, so that I took her to be my own wife? Now therefore, here's your wife. Take her and go away." So Pharaoh gave orders concerning him to his men, and they sent him on his way with his wife and everything he had. Avram went up from Egypt, he, his wife, and everything he had. This is chapter 13, verse 1. And Lot with him into the Negev. Avram became wealthy, with much cattle, silver, and gold. As he went on his travels from the Negev, he came to Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, where he had first built the altar, and there Avram called on the name of Adonai. Lot, who was traveling with Avram, also had flocks, herds, and tents, but the land could not support their living together, because their possessions were too great for them to remain together. Moreover, quarreling arose between Avram's and Lot's husband. The Canaanite and the Perizzite were then living in the land. Avram said to Lot, "Please, let's not have quarreling between me and you, or between my husband and yours, since we're kinsmen. Isn't the whole land there in front of you? Please separate yourself from me. If you go to the left, I will go to the right. If you go to the right, I will go to the left." Lot looked up and saw that the whole plain of the Jordan, was well watered everywhere before Adonai destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, like the garden of Adonai, like the land of Egypt, in the direction of Zoar. So Lot chose all the plain of the Jordan for himself, and Lot traveled eastward. Thus they separated themselves from each other. Avram lived in the land of Canaan, and Lot lived in the cities of the plain, setting up his tent near Sodom. And the men of Sodom were evil, committing great sins against Adonai. Adonai said to Avram, after Lot had moved away from him, "Look all around you from where you are, to the north, to the south, to the east and the west. All the land you see I will give to you and your descendants." And the Hebrew word for that is Ozer Akal, which means "and to your seed," forever. And I will give to you and your descendants. And verse 16. And I will make your descendants as numerous as the specks of dust on the earth, so that if a person can count the specks of dust on the earth, then your descendants can be counted. Get up and walk through the length and breadth of the land, because I will give it to you. Avram moved his tent and came to live by the oaks of Mamre, which are in Hebron. There he built an altar to Adonai. When Amraphel was king of chapter 14, when Amraphel was king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Goyim, they made war together against Spira, king of Sodom, and against Persha, king of Amorah, Shanav, king of Admah, Shemeber, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, which is the same as Zoar. All the latter kings joined forces in the Siddim Valley, where the Dead Sea is. They had served Kedorlaomer 12 years, but in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year, Kedorlaomer and the king with him came and defeated the Rephaim and Ashtaroth, Karnaim, the Zuzim and Ham, the Amim and Sheveh, Kiriathaim, and the Hori at Seir, their mountain, all the way to Al-Paran by the desert. Next they turned back, came to An Mishpat, which is the same as Kadesh, and defeated all the country of the Amalekim, and also the Emoran, who lived in Hatzon Tamar. Then the kings of Sodom, Amorah, Admah, Seboim, and Bela, that is Zoar, came out and arrayed themselves for battle in Sidon Valley against Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, Tidal, king of Goyim, Amraphel, king of Admah, and Arioch, king of Elasar, 4 kings against the 5. Now the Sidon Valley was full of clay pits, and when the kings of Sodom and Amorah fled, some fell into them, while the rest fled to the hills. The victors took all the possessions of Sodom and Amorah and all their food supply. Then they left. But as they left, they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, and his possessions to see who was living in Sodom. Someone who had escaped came and told Abram the Hebrew, who was living by the oaks of Mamre the Amorite, brother of Eshcol, and brother of Aner, all of them allies of Abram. When Abram heard that his nephew had been taken captive, he led out his trained men who had been born in his house, 318 of them, and went in pursuit as far as Dan. During the night he and his servants divided his forces against them, then attacked and pursued them all the way to Hobah, north of Damascus. He recovered all the goods and brought back his nephew Lot with his goods, together with the women and the other people. After his return from slaughtering Kedorlaomer and the kings with him, the king of Sodom went out to meet him in the Shaveh Valley, also known as the King's Valley. Melchizedek, king of Shalem, brought out bread and wine. He was Cohen of El Elyon, and Cohen is priest. And El Elyon means God Most High. So he blessed him with these words: Blessed be Avram by El Elyon, maker of heaven and earth. And blessed be El Elyon, who handed your enemies over to you. Avram gave him 1/10 of everything. The king of Sodom said to Avram, Give me the people and keep the goods for yourself. But Avram answered the king of Sodom, I have raised my hand in an oath to Adonai, El Elyon, maker of heaven and earth, that I will not take so much as a thread or a sandal paw of anything that is yours, so that you won't be able to say, I made Avram rich. I will take only what my troops have eaten and the share of the spoil belonging to the men who came with me, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. Let them have their share. Chapter 15. Sometime later, the word of Adonai came to Avram in a vision. Don't be afraid, Avram. I am your protector. Your reward will be very great. Avram replied, Adonai God, what good will your gifts be to me if I continue childless? And Eliezer from Damascus inherits my possessions. You haven't given me a child, Avram continued, so someone born in my house will be my heir. But the word of Adonai came to him, This man will not be your heir. No, your heir will be a child from your own body. Then he brought him outside and said, Look up at the sky and count the stars. If you can count them, your descendants will be that many. He believed in Adonai, and he credited it to him as righteousness. Then he said to him, I am Adonai, who brought you out from Ur-Kasdim to give you this land as your possession. He replied, Adonai, God, how am I to know that I will possess it? He answered him, "Bring me a 3-year-old cow, a 3-year-old female goat, a 3-year-old ram, a dove, and a young pigeon." He brought him all these, cut the animals in two, and placed the pieces opposite each other. But he didn't cut the birds in half. Birds of prey swooped down on the carcasses, but Avram drove them away. As the sun was about to set, a deep sleep fell on Avram. Horror and great darkness came over him. Adonai said to Avram, "Know this for certain. Your descendants will be foreigners in a land that is not theirs. They will be slaves and held in oppression there 400 years. But I will also judge that nation, the one that makes them slaves. Afterwards, they will leave with many possessions. As for you, you will join your ancestors in peace and be buried at a good old age. Only in the 4th generation will your descendants come back here, because only then will the Emorah be ripe for punishment." After the sun had set and there was thick darkness, a smoking fire pot and a flaming torch appeared, which passed between these animal parts. That day Adonai made a covenant with Avram. "I have given this land to your descendants, from the Valley of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates River, the territory of the Kenai, the Kenizzi, the Kadmoni, the Hittite, the Perizzi, the Rephaim, the Emorah, the Canaani, the Girgashi, and the Yevusi." Chapter 16. Now Sarai, Avram's wife, had not borne him a child, but she had an Egyptian slave girl named Hagar. So Sarai said to Avram, "Here now, Adonai has kept me from having children, so go in and sleep with my slave girl. Maybe I'll be able to have children through her." Avram listened to what Sarai said. It was after Avram had lived 10 years in the land of Canaan that Sarai, Avram's wife, took Hagar the Egyptian, her slave girl, and gave her to Avram, her husband, to be his wife. Avram had sexual relations with Hagar, and she conceived. But when she became aware that she was pregnant, she looked on her mistress with contempt. Sarai said to Avram, "This outrage being done to me is your fault. True, I gave my slave girl to you to sleep with, but when she saw that she was pregnant, she began holding me in contempt. May Adonai decide who is right, I or you." However, Avram answered Sarai, "Look, she's your slave girl. Deal with her as you think fit." Then Sarai treated her so harshly that she ran away from her. The angel of Adonai found her by a spring in the desert, the spring on the road to Shur, and said, "Hagar, Sarai's slave girl, where have you come from, and where are you going?" She answered, "I'm running away from my mistress Sarai." The angel of Adonai said to her, "I will greatly increase your descendants. There will be so many that it will be impossible to count them." The angel of Adonai said to her, "Look, you are pregnant, and you will give birth to a son. You are to call him Ishmael, which means God pays attention, because Adonai has paid attention to your misery. He will be a wild donkey of a man, with his hand against everyone, and everyone's hand against him, living his life at odds with all his kinsmen." So she named Adonai, who had spoken with her, El Roi, God has seen, because she said, "Have I really seen the one who sees me and stayed alive?" This is why the well has been called Beer Lahai Roi, well of the one who lives and sees. And Be'er, B-E-R means well. High, C-H-I-I, means lives, or life. It lies between Kadesh and Bered. Hagar bore Avram a son, and Avram called the son whom Hagar had born Ishmael. Avram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to Avram. Chapter 17. When Avram was 99 years old, Adonai appeared to Avram and said to him, I am El Shaddai, God Almighty. Walk in my presence and be pure-hearted. I will make my covenant between me and you, and I will increase your numbers greatly. Avram fell on his face, and God continued speaking with him. As for me, this is my covenant with you. You will be the father of many nations. Verse 5. Your name will no longer be Avram, son of a father, but your name will be Avraham, father of many. Because I have made you the father of many nations. I will cause you to be very fruitful. I will make nations of you. Kings will descend from you. I am establishing my covenant between me and you, along with your descendants after you, generation after generation, as an everlasting covenant, to be God for you and for your descendants after you. I will give you and your descendants after you the land in which you are now foreigners, all the land of Canaan, as a permanent possession, and I will be their God. God said to Abraham, As for you, you are to keep my covenant, you and your descendants after you, generation after generation. Here is my covenant, which you are to keep between me and you, along with your descendants after you. Every male among you is to be circumcised. You are to be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskin. This will be the sign of the covenant between me and you. Generation after generation, every male among you who is 8 days old is to be circumcised, including slaves born within your household, and those bought from a foreigner not descended from you. The slave born in your house and the person bought with your money must be circumcised. Thus my covenant will be in your flesh as an everlasting covenant. Any uncircumcised male who will not let himself be circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, that person will be cut off from his people, because he has broken my covenant. God said to Abraham, As for Sarai, your wife, you are not to call her Sarai, which means mockery. Her name is to be Sarah, which means princess. I will bless her. Moreover, I will give you a son by her. Truly, I will bless her. She will be a mother of nations. Kings of people will come from her. At this, Abraham fell on his face and laughed. He thought to himself, Will a child be born to a man 100 years old? Will Sarah give birth at 90? Abraham said to God, If only Ishmael could live in your presence. God said, No, but Sarah your wife will bear you a son, and you are to call him Yitzhak, laughter. I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his descendants after him. But as for Ishmael, I have heard you. I have blessed him. I will make him fruitful and give him many descendants. He will father 12 princes, and I will make him a great nation. But I will establish my covenant with Yitzhak, whom Sarah will bear to you at this time next year. With that, God finished speaking with Abraham and went up from him. Abraham took Ishmael his son, all the slaves born in his house, and all who had been bought with his money, every male among the people in Abraham's household, and he circumcised the flesh of their foreskin that very day, just as God had said to him. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, and Ishmael his son was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. Abraham and Ishmael his son were circumcised on the same day. And all the men in his household, both slaves born in his house and those bought with money from a foreigner, were circumcised with him. Chapter 18. Adonai appeared to Abraham by the oaks of Mamre as he sat at the entrance of the tent during the heat of the day. He raised his eyes and looked, and there in front of him stood 3 men. On seeing them, he ran from the tent door to meet them, prostrated himself on the ground, and said, My Lord, if I have found favor in your sight, please don't leave your servant. Please let me sit for some water so that you can wash your feet, then rest under the tree, and I will bring you a piece of bread. Now that you have come to your servant, refresh yourselves before going on. Very well, they replied. Do what you have said. I think, I've not been able to prove this, but I think that these three men were actually God, Yeshua, or Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. Because as you're reading on, you'll hear they're like talking as one, and he's referred to them as one. He says, "My Lord," and my lords, and different things like that. Just make me kind of think that this is God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit. I could be wrong.
So you start on Thursdays and then just start sending.
Verse 6. Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah and said, "Quickly, 3 measures of the best flour. Knead it and make cakes." Abraham ran to the herd, took a good tender calf, and gave it to the servant, who hurried to prepare it. Then he took curds, milk, and the calf which he had prepared, and set it all before the men. And he stood by them under the tree as they ate. They said to him, "Where is Sarah your wife?" He said, "There, in the tent." He said, "I will certainly return to you around this time next year, and Sarah your wife will have a son." Sarah heard him from the entrance of the tent behind him. Abraham and Sarah were old, advanced in years. Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself, thinking, "I am old, and so is my Lord. Am I to have pleasure again?" Adonai said to Abraham, "Why does Sarah laugh and ask, 'Am I really going to bear a child when I am so old?' Is anything too hard for Adonai? At the time set for it, at this season next year, I will return to you, and Sarah will have a son." Sarah denied it, saying, "I didn't laugh," because she was afraid. He said, "Not so, you did laugh." The men set out from there and looked over towards Sodom, and Abraham went with them to see them on their way. Adonai said, "Should I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? Inasmuch as Abraham is sure to become a great and strong nation, and all the nations of the earth will be blessed by him? For I have made myself known to him, so that he will give orders to his children and to his household after him to keep the way of Adonai, and to do what is right and just, so that Adonai may bring about for Abraham what he has promised him." Adonai said, "The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great, and their sin so serious, that I will now go down and see whether their deeds warrant the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know." The men turned away from there and went toward Sodom, but Abraham remained standing before Adonai. Abraham approached and said, "Will you actually sweep away the righteous with the wicked? Maybe there are 50 righteous people in the city. Will you actually sweep the place away and not forgive it for the sake of the 50 righteous who are there? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to kill the righteous along with the wicked, so that the righteous and the wicked are treated alike. Far be it from you. Shouldn't the judge of all the earth do what is just?" And I said, "If I find in Sodom 50 who are righteous, then I will forgive the whole place for their sake." Abraham answered, "Hear now, I, who am but dust and ashes, have taken it upon myself to speak to Adonai. What if there are 5 less than 50 righteous?" He said, "I won't destroy it if I find 45 there." He spoke to him yet again. "What if 40 are found there?" He said, "For the sake of the 40, I won't do it." He said, "I hope Adonai won't be angry if I speak. What if 30 are found there?" He said, "I won't do it if I find 30 there." He said, "Hear now, I have taken upon myself to speak to Adonai. What if 20 are found there? He said, for the sake of the 20, I won't destroy it. He said, I hope Adonai won't be angry if I speak just once more. What if 10 are found there? He said, for the sake of the 10, I won't destroy it. Adonai went on his way as soon as he had finished speaking to Avraham, and Avraham returned to his place. So I wonder if he got down to as little as 1, if that would have spared the city. But we'll never know. Chapter 19. The 2 angels came to Sodom that evening, when Lot was sitting at the gate of Sodom. Lot saw them, got up to greet them, and prostrated himself on the ground. He said, Here now, my lords, please come over to your servant's house. Spend the night, wash your feet, get up early, and go on your way. No, they answered, we'll stay in the square. But he kept pressing them, so they went home with him, and he made them a meal, baking matzah, or unleavened bread, for their supper, which they ate. But before they could go to bed, the men of the city surrounded the house, young and old, everyone from every neighbor of Sodom. They called Lot and said to him, Where are the men who came to stay with you tonight? Bring them out to us. We want to have sex with them. Lot went out to them and stood in the doorway, closing the door behind him, and said, Please, my brothers, don't do such a wicked thing. Look here, I have 2 daughters who are virgins. Please, let me bring them out to you, and you could do with them what seems good to you. But don't do anything to these men, since they are guests in my house. Stand back, they replied. This guy came to live here, and now he's decided to play judge, for that will deal worse with you than with them. Then they crowded in on Lot in order to get close enough to break down the door. But the men inside reached out their hands, brought Lot into the house to them, and shut the door. Then they struck the men at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so they couldn't find the doorway. The men said to Lot, Do you have any people here besides yourself? Whomever you have in the city, son-in-law, your sons, your daughters, bring them out of this place, because we are going to destroy it. Adonai has become aware of the great outcry against them, and Adonai has sent us to destroy it. Lot went out and spoke with his sons-in-law, who had married his daughters, and said, Get up and leave this place, because Adonai is going to destroy the city. But his sons-in-law didn't take him seriously. When morning came, the angels told Lot to hurry. Get up, they said, and take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here. Otherwise you will be swept away in the punishment of the city. But he dallied, so the men took hold of his hand, his wife's hand, and the hands of his 2 daughters. Adonai was being merciful to him, and led them, and leaving them in the hands of his 2 daughters. Let me start over. When morning came, verse 15, when morning came, the angels told Lot to hurry. Get up, they said, and take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here. Otherwise they will be swept away in the punishment of the city. But he dallied, so the men took hold of his hand, his wife's hand, and the hands of his 2 daughters. Adonai was being merciful to him, and led them, leaving them outside the city. When they had brought them out, he said, Flee for your life. Don't look behind you, and don't stop anywhere in the plain, but escape to the hills. Otherwise you will be swept away. Lot said to them, Please no, my lord. Here, your servant has already found favor in your sight, and you have shown me even greater mercy by saving my life. But I can't escape to the hills, because I'm afraid that disaster will overtake me and I will die. Look, there's a town nearby to flee to, and it's a small one. Please let me escape there. Isn't it just a small one? and that way I will stay alive." He replied, "All right, I agree to what you have asked. I won't overthrow the city of which you have spoken. Hurry and escape to that place, because I can't do anything until you arrive there." For this reason, the city was named Zoar, which means small. By the time Lot had come to Zoar, the sun had risen over the land. Then Adonai caused sulfur and fire to rain down upon Sodom and Gomorrah from Adonai out of the sky. He overthrew those cities, the entire plain, all the inhabitants of the cities, and everything growing in the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a column of salt. Abraham got up early in the morning, went to the place where he had stood before Adonai, and looked out toward Sodom and Gomorrah, scanning the entire plain. There before him the smoke was rising from the land like smoke from a furnace. But when God destroyed the cities of the plain, he remembered Abraham and sent Lot out, away from the destruction, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot lived. Lot went up from Zoar and lived in the hills with his 2 daughters, because he was afraid to stay in Zoar. He and his 2 daughters lived in a cave. The firstborn said to the younger, "Our father is old, and there isn't a man on earth to come into us in the manner of customary in the world. Come, let's have our father drink wine, then we'll sleep with him, and that way we'll enable our father to have descendants." So they plied their father with wine that night, and the older one went in and slept with her father. He didn't know when she lay down or when she got up. The following day, the older said to the younger, "Here, I slept last night with my father. Let's make him drink wine again tonight, and you go in and sleep with him, and that way we'll enable our father to have descendants." They plied their father with wine that night also, and the younger one got up and slept with him, and he didn't know when she lay down or when she got up. Thus both the daughters of Lot became pregnant by their father. The older one gave birth to a son and called him Moab. He is the ancestor of Moab to this day. The younger also gave birth to a son, and she called him Ben-Ammi. He is the ancestor of the people of Ammon to this day, and Moab is the Moabites, and Ammon is the Ammonites. Chapter 20. Abraham traveled from there toward the Negev and lived in Kadesh and Shur, while living as an alien in Gerar. Abraham was saying of Sarah his wife, "She is my sister." So Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. But God came to Abimelech in a dream one night and said to him, "You are about to die because of the woman you have taken, since she is someone's wife." Now Abimelech had not come near her, so he said, "Lord, will you kill even an upright nation? Didn't he himself say to me, 'She is my sister'? And even she herself said, 'He is my brother.' In doing this, my heart has been pure and my hands innocent." God said to him in the dream, "Yes, I know that in doing this, your heart has been pure, and I too have kept you from sinning against me. This is why I didn't let you touch her. Therefore, return the man's wife to him now. He is a prophet, and he will pray for you, so that you will live. But if you don't return her, know that you will certainly die, you and all who belong to you." Abimelech got up early in the morning, called all his servants, and told them these things, and the men became very afraid. Then Abimelech called Abraham and said to him, "What have you done to us? How have I sinned against you to cause you to bring on me and my kingdom a great sin? You have done things to me that are just not done." Abimelech went on asking Abraham, "Whatever could have caused you to do such a thing?" Abraham replied, "It was because I thought there could not possibly be any fear of God in this place, so they will kill me in order to get my wife. But she actually is also my sister, the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and so she became my wife. When God had me leave my father's house, I told her, 'Do me this favor. Wherever we go, say about me, he is my brother.' Abimelech took sheep, cattle, and male and female slaves, and gave them to Abraham, and when he returned to him Sarah his wife. Then Abimelech said, Look, my country lies before you. Live where you like. To Sarah he said, Here, I have given your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. That will allay the suspicions of everyone who is with you. Before everyone you are cleared. Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech and his wife and slave girls, so that they could have children. For Adonai had made every woman in Abimelech's household infertile on account of Sarah, Abraham's wife. Chapter 21. Adonai remembered Sarah as he had said, and Adonai did for Sarah what he had promised. Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age, at the very time God had said to him. Abraham called his son, born to him, whom Sarah bore to him, Yitzhak. Abraham circumcised his son Yitzhak when he was 8 days old, as God had ordered him to do. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Yitzhak, laughter, was born to him. Sarah said, God has given me good reason to laugh. Now everyone who hears about it will laugh with me. And she said, Who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Nevertheless, I have borne him a son in his old age. The child grew and was weaned, and Abraham gave a great banquet on the day that Yitzhak was weaned. But Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, whom Hagar had borne to Abraham, making fun of Yitzhak. So Sarah said to Abraham, Throw this slave girl out and her son. I will not have this slave girl's son as your heir along with my son Yitzhak. Abraham became very distressed over this matter of his son. But God said to Abraham, Don't be distressed because of the boy and your slave girl. Listen to everything Sarah says to you, because it is your descendants through Yitzhak who will be counted. But I will also make a nation from the son of the slave girl, since he is descended from you. Abraham got up early in the morning, took bread and a skin of water, and gave it to Hagar, putting it on her shoulder and the child. Then he sent her away. After leaving, she wandered in the desert around Beersheba. When the water in the skin was gone, she left the child under a bush and went and sat down, looking the other way, about a bowshot's distance from him, because she said, I can't bear to watch my child die. So she sat there, looking the other way, crying out and weeping. God heard the boy's voice, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, What's wrong with you, Hagar? Don't be afraid, because God has heard the voice of the boy in his present situation. Get up, lift the boy up, and hold him tightly in your hand, because I am going to make him a great nation. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. So she went, filled the skin with water, and gave the boy water to drink. God was with the boy, and he grew. He lived in the desert and became an archer. He lived in the Paran desert, and his mother chose a wife for him from the land of Egypt. At that time Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his army, spoke to Abraham. They said, God is with you in everything you do. Therefore swear to me here by God that you will never deal falsely with me or with my son or grandson, but according to the kindness with which I have treated you. You will treat me in the land in which you have lived as a foreigner. Abraham said, I swear it. Now Abraham had complained to Abimelech about a well which Abimelech's servants had seized. Abimelech answered, I don't know who has done this. You didn't tell me, and I heard about it only today. Abraham took sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelech, and the two of them made a covenant. Abraham put 7 female lambs from the flock by themselves. Abimelech asked Abraham, What is the meaning of these 7 female lambs you have put by themselves? He answered, You are to accept these 7 female lambs from me as a witness that I dug this well. This is why that place was called Beersheba, well of 7, well of an oath. because they both swore an oath there. When they made the covenant at Beersheba, Abimelech departed with Phicol, the commander of his army, and returned to the land of the Philistine. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there he called on the name of Adonai, the everlasting God. Abraham lived for a long time as a foreigner in the land of the Philistine. After these things, God tested Abraham. He said to him, Abraham, and he answered, Here I am. He said, Take your son, your only son whom you love, Yitzhak, and go to the land of Moriah. There you are to offer him as a burnt offering on a mountain that I will point out to you. Abraham got up early in the morning, saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him, together with Yitzhak his son. He cut the wood for the burnt offering, departed, and went to the place God had told him about. On the 3rd day Abraham raised his eyes and saw the place in the distance. Abraham said to his young men, Stay here with the donkey. I and the boy will go there, worship, and return to you. Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and laid it on Yitzhak his son. Then he took in his hand the fire and the knife, and they both went on together. Yitzhak spoke to Abraham his father. My father? He answered, Here I am, my son. He said, I see the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? Abraham replied, God will provide himself the lamb for a burnt offering, my son. And they both went on together. They came to the place God had told him about, and Abraham built the altar there, set the wood in order, bound Yitzhak his son, and laid him on the altar, on the wood. Then Abraham put out his hand and took the knife to kill his son. But the angel of Adonai called out to him out of heaven, Abraham, Abraham. He answered, Here I am. He said, Don't lay your hand on the boy. Don't do anything to him. For now I know that you are a man who fears God, because you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. Abraham raised his eyes and looked, and there behind him was a ram caught in the bushes by its horns. Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up as a burnt offering in place of his son. Abraham called the place Adonai Yireh. The Lord will see to it, the Lord provides. As it is said to this day, on the mountain Adonai is seen. The angel of Adonai called to Abraham a second time out of heaven. He said, I have sworn by myself, says Adonai, that because you have done this, because you haven't withheld your son, your only son, I will most certainly bless you, and I will most certainly increase your descendants to as many as there are stars in the sky or grains of sand on the seashore. Your descendants will possess the cities of their enemies, and by your descendants all the nations of the earth will be blessed, because you have obeyed my order. So Abraham returned to his young men. They got up and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham settled in Beersheba. Afterwards Abraham was told, Milcah too has borne children to your brother Nahor. As his firstborn, Buz his brother, Kemuel the father of Aram, Kesed, Hazo, Pildash, Needlaph, and Bethuel. Bethuel fathered Rivkah, Rebekah. These 8 Milcah bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother. His concubine, whose name was Ruhamah, bore children also, Tebah, Gaham, Tahash, and Maacah. So that concludes chapter 22. Just a couple of interesting notes. The angel of Adonai is actually the letters Mem, Lamed, Aleph, Kaf, and then Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. So the M-L-A-K actually means king. It's Melech, which means king. So angel of Adonai is King Jehovah. And also another interesting note, and I think it's missed a lot. I know I've missed it a lot, and I've never really heard anybody actually preach on it or teach about it. But it's over here in, see, it's verse 19. It says, so Abraham returned to his young men. It doesn't say Abraham and Isaac. So where was Isaac? Maybe we'll find out later. So I hope y'all have a good rest of your day. And I ask you to click on, to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be notified of when the next videos will be available. And also, please share the videos and help me get this word out to lots of people. There are people out there who make money off of stealing other people's videos. So if it's not got my logo on it, then it's not me. And another thing is that unless God tells me to ask you for money, I will not do that. But if I do, it'll be because there are people, I've heard people saying that they are different people and they're telling people they won all these different things, lots of money, or they're asking for money and stuff. I pretend to be the people that are in the video, but like Cat Care is one that says that people are doing that of her, pretending to be her. So if God tells me to ask for money, I will. But you will be seeing my face, you will hear my voice, so you will know it is me. Now, if it's like on my podcast, obviously you won't see my face, but you'll know my voice. It comes straight from my voice. It won't be just written down somewhere. So, don't give to anybody that pretends to be me. And so I hope you have a good, wonderful rest of your day. And I will see you all next time. May God bless you all. Bye-bye.